The Denver Broncos started out the 2021 regular season with a 3-0 record and had a 7-6 record through 13 games before dropping the final 4 and finishing with a 7-10 record and ultimately missing the playoffs, which led to the firing of head coach Vic Fangio. Denver was at a crossroads entering the 2022 offseason. Do they go for a long-term rebuild and try and draft a Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, or do they throw caution to the wind and go all in now? And they entered the offseason knowing they were going to have to play two of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert twice a year for presumably the next decade, and they went all in and traded for former Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson. And in today's video, we're going to break down the 2022 Broncos team preview, and with that out of the way, Broncos country, let's ride. No, but in all honesty, let's begin. And we are starting today's video by taking a glance at the 2021 Broncos season and how they got to 7-10. Veteran quarterback Teddy Bridgewater started 14 games and had a 7-7 record in the games he played, and to me personally, while I like Teddy a lot, he is pretty average when it comes to the quarterback position. Sure, you may win the occasional game that you don't expect with Teddy, but he is very much a quarterback that's not going to lose games. And it's extremely encouraging for the Broncos that they went 500 with Teddy as their starter. I've said it for a while, but I truly thought this team was a quarterback away, and apparently Denver's front office thought the same. But Denver in 2021 beat the teams you would expect them to beat, and really the only team they won against that you may not have thought going in they would have beat was when they manhandled the Cowboys with a final score of 30-16, though with 6 minutes left to play it was 30-0. I mean, they really whipped their ass that day. But losing to teams like the Chiefs, Bengals, Raiders, and the Chargers once was about what you expected. However, they still had a ton of bright spots on their team, and that includes now second-year running back Javonte Williams. In his rookie year, Javonte went for over 1,200 total yards and had 7 total touchdowns and is now just 22 years old. I do think Denver will lean on Javonte more than they lean on Melvin Gordon this year, though they will still split carries as both backs had over 900 yards last year. And a fun fact, both backs finished with exactly 203 carries, and I would be very surprised if they finished with the exact same amount of carries again this year. And that's something Russell Wilson is going to love, is being able at any point to turn around and hand the ball off to either back, knowing you are more than likely going to get 4 to 5 yards per carry, and that will take a big weight off of Russ's shoulders. It is unfortunate Tim Patrick already tore his ACL and is done for the season, as I really loved the trio they have in Patrick, Cortland Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy, but for 2022 it will remain just a duo. And if there are Broncos fans a little down on Jeudy or upset with the lack of production he's had in his career so far, 2022 will change your mind on that. Jeudy has no problem getting open, and his burst off the line is very good, and it's not a matter of him being a jump ball receiver that can't jump or anything like that. And I am aware Jeudy had his fair share of drops in his rookie season, but I'm not concerned with that. His hand size is in the 59th percentile per mockdraftable.com, that's compared to all receivers, and is going to be receiving passes from a future Hall of Fame quarterback, which is a far cry from the quarterbacks he caught passes from during his first 2 years. And catching the football, as simple as it sounds, is something that is coachable and something that can very, very easily be worked on. Cortland Sutton is a good receiver who hasn't been able to play to his full potential, due in large part to the revolving doors the Broncos have had at quarterback over the past few years. We saw a glimpse in 2019 when he went for over 1,100 yards, and I truly believe that was just scraping the start of what he can do. And while we haven't discussed the Broncos a whole heck of a lot on the channel recently, I truly don't think it's out of the equation for Denver to have 2 1,000-yard receivers in 2022. I don't think their tight end room is top 2 or 3 in the league or anything absurd, but I love Albert O and Greg Dulcich, their 3rd round pick from this year. They're not going to dominate the stat sheet, but they are 2 guys to most definitely keep an eye on throughout the season. And Denver's offensive line, led by 2020 second-team All-Pro Garrett Bowles, is quietly very good. It will be the best offensive line Russell Wilson has had in his entire career. Denver's offense should be one of the better units in the NFL, and their defense is solid on top of it, and they have a budding superstar in second-year corner Patrick Surtain II. Surtain had a very good rookie season as he finished with 4 interceptions and even had a pick 6 against the Chargers, and on top of it, 14 pass deflections. This next stat I'm going to share needs some preface because it's a juicy one, and it's to show why Broncos fans should be excited about Patrick Surtain. This is according to Pro Football Focus, but last year Surtain was targeted 85 times throughout the season and gave up 49 receptions for 560 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had 4 interceptions, and quarterbacks, when targeting him, had a passer rating of 69.7. Now, comparing his numbers to another corner in the NFL, this other corner was targeted 93 times and gave up 59 receptions for 595 yards and 3 touchdowns, while also having 4 interceptions. Quarterbacks, when targeting this player, had a passer rating of 74.4, and now that you see these 2 guys' stats next to each other, the second player was Rams corner Jaylen Ramsey. And obviously there needs to be context around these numbers, but the point is, if you're a Broncos fan, be very excited Surtain is on your team because he is a very good corner. Also, I'm going to say this just for clarity, he is not better than Jaylen Ramsey. It was to show how good of a rookie season he had, all things considered. And the Broncos defense isn't just a piece here or there. They have Justin Simmons at safety, who is one of the best safeties in the league and a player who has 2 second-team All-Pros to his name as well as a 2020 Pro Bowl. Bradley Chubb is an interesting case because this was a prospect when he came out of NC State in 2018, hyped to be a very dominant pass rusher for quite some time. And initially it looked like it was going to be that way as he had a 12-sack rookie season, then tore his ACL in 2019, and to make a long story short, he has 8.5 sacks over the last 3 years. He had a down year in 2021, but now that he has Randy Gregory on the opposite side, can he become the player he once was is something to pay attention to. Chubb had a win percentage in pass rushing opportunities last year of just 8.8%, which is not good, compared to a win percentage of 18% in 2020 when he was significantly more successful than this past year. I am a believer in Bradley Chubb and also think playing in the AFC West with how many good quarterbacks there are will help out his numbers due to how many more opportunities he will receive. And taking a look at their schedule, there is absolutely zero reason the Broncos can't start out 2-0 with wins against the Seahawks and Texans. Zero. They are a better team than both, and Week 3 should be a good game against the 49ers, but there's no reason the Broncos, for the second consecutive year, can't start out 3-0, and I would argue they have to, and we'll get to that here in a second. We're not going to break down every single game, but with these first 8 before their Week 9 bye, it's not unreasonable to think they're going to be 6-2 or so, heading into the bye with presumable losses on the road to the Raiders and Chargers, and those games aren't entirely unwinnable just because they're division games on the road. They beat the Chargers last year, and guys, we may not always agree on takes, but one thing I think is safe to say that I think we can all agree on is Russell Wilson is better than Teddy Bridgewater. And these first 8 games for Denver is absolutely critical that they win 6, if not 7, because after that bye, it is a true gauntlet of opponents. They only play 2 non-playoff teams from last year during those games, And those games are the Panthers and Ravens, and the Ravens were 8-3 at a point last year before nearly half of their roster was on IR, and they were starting Josh Johnson against Joe Burrow for a game, and predictably, you know who won that game. Every game after the Week 9 bye will be a playoff matchup for Denver, and when projecting what they're going to do in the 2022 season, this admittedly scares me for Denver. Not because they're not going to be battle-tested or because they won't be able to hang with these teams, but because by the time wildcard weekend rolls around, they'll have essentially played 9 straight playoff games and then have to run the table. This would be under the assumption they don't get the number 1 seed in the AFC, which in that scenario would give them a much needed by that point first round bye. I like the Broncos a lot heading into the 2022 season, and I love what they're capable of, but, and unfortunately there's always a but, this schedule, especially down the stretch, scares the ever-living hell out of me. And for that reason, I think they are a divisional round exit team this year at most. But if they prove me wrong, I would more than welcome that. And that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, I ask you to please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it would both mean the world and help tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. Please also join the Discord. The link is in the description, and I cannot thank you guys enough for the support. And until next time, as always, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.